News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 FM WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardians show with Doug Ray, helping you to retire that job, but keep your paycheck. I'm your host, Doug Ray. With me, of course, is Mr. Brice Payne, who's been behind the mic and the keyboard now for how many years, Brice?
Well, I've been with the Wealth Guardians almost 8 years now, and I think I've been manning the helm here in the studio for about 6 of those years.
Yeah.
We moved from doing the radio show in an actual radio station about 2 years after I got here, and just created our own little radio studio here, and that's where you all have been listening to us from. If you've been tuning in, that's where you've been hearing us from for the last couple of years, is right here in our own Wealth Guardian studio. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Doug, thank you for joining me yet again. And we've got a special show set up here today because it's, as you probably know, if you've tuned into the Wealth Guardian show week after week, month after month, year after year with me and Doug and Garrett, then you probably know that from time to time we talk about Social Security. Why would we do that so much as holistic financial planners? What's so big about Social Security, Brice? Doug? Well, it's a cornerstone of most Americans' income. When it
Foundational piece.
in retirement, for a majority of people, it's the largest amount of income that they get from all their sources that they might have. So we're going to talk today about Social Security, and the subject is 4 things you probably don't know about Social Security that you definitely should. And we're going to actually try to fit a 5th bonus piece of information in there. Why are we doing that right now, Doug? Why? Why right now?
Well, because we are having our year-end workshop on Social Security with the famed Hamilton Morales. We've done this. Brice, we've done this, what, how many years? 5, 6, 7 years with Hamilton coming in?
Yeah, about 6, I would say.
Hamilton, I've always teased in the past, the living, breathing, walking, talking encyclopedia of Social Security. But he's a trainer. He taught you and I and got us certified with the National Social Security.
That was about 10 years ago.
Yes, it's been a while. And, I started doing workshops here in the Triad before you even came on board on Social Security. But it is the foundational piece, and we want everybody to know about Social Security and what their benefits are and how to best optimize their benefits. You know, we've got boomers now, 11,000 a day, turning 65 and rolling into that Social Security zone, if you will.
Right.
They're thinking about, gee, do I turn it on at 62? Do I wait? Do I wait till full retirement age, which now is 67 for most folks?
Right.
But it's a big deal. We want you to come out for the event. Hamilton does a bang-up job. It is, trust me, folks, it is not a boring PowerPoint presentation.
No, Hamilton's got a good personality, and he has a way of taking probably what you would think is one of the most boring subjects out there and really drawing you in and making it, I don't know if I'd say fun, but certainly not boring to sit through. It's a lot of numbers, but it's a lot of key information. And here's the reason why I do this. At the Wealth Guardians, we're holistic financial planners. And some people might think, well, what's the difference between that and an investment advisor? Well, a financial planner wears any hat that has to do with money in a household, whether it's income, assets, or expenses, taxes, fees, anything that has to do with money. A holistic financial planner wants to make sure that you are doing everything right with the money so that you are making the most sense with your money. And all of those things can join together. And if you do one thing wrong over here, it could mean that you're costing yourself a lot of money over here or whatnot. So there's distribution strategies that you have to consider. There's what kind of assets do you have? Are they IRA? Are they Roth? Are they non-qualified accounts? And everything needs to run like a well-oiled machine, so to speak, kind of like the Denver Broncos are running right now. Definitely not like the Panthers are running. So one of those key aspects of income, as we said, is Social Security. So we run this workshop a couple times a year because we want to make sure that not just our clients, but everybody else out there who is going to file for Social Security at some point, they understand the nuances and the different options that they have and the different things that they need to consider when filing. And so that's what this seminar is about. We do it a couple of times a year. And as Doug said, Hamilton Morales, you couldn't ask for a better speaker on the subject, a more knowledgeable speaker on the subject to answer your questions and to give you insights onto what it is you need to consider before you file. So today's show is 4 things that you probably don't know about Social Security that you definitely should. And this seminar that we're running, this is just kind of a ad, if you will, for this seminar that we've got coming up. It's Thursday, November 6th at 6:30 p.m. And again, Tuesday, November 11th at 6:30 p.m. in Clemens at the old Broyle Annex building where the old library used to be. So if you want to register for this, if we've already convinced you that, hey, this is something I really need to check out, well, you could give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can also just go to the website, thewealthguardians.com, and click on the events tab and register that way. Doug, there's no cost or obligation to attend, but you do have to register, right?
That's exactly right, because this is always our biggest event of the year. So we're expecting a full house, so please register.
Okay, well, before we get started on these 4 things that you probably don't know about Social Security that you definitely should, let's do our Wealth Guardian Service Salute. Everybody out there who has put on, whether they're doing it now or they have in the past, put on the uniform. One of the uniforms out there, perhaps the first responder's uniform, we want to thank you because we know it is not an easy job and it is more often than not a thankless job. And we want to extend our appreciation to you and to your families who support you and put up with the things that are oftentimes not the most benefits of the job, if you will. There's a lot of times downsides to that. So we acknowledge it. We respect you. We understand that your sacrifices you and your family are making. So thank you very much for keeping America safe. And let's go ahead and one more thing that we do here real quick is we ask ourselves, better get to know your Wealth Guardians advisor a question. And so here's the question we're asking ourselves, and we'll ask you out there as well. Doug, what sport did you spend your neighborhood time on with your neighborhood buddies getting together to play when you were a kid? Elementary school, middle school?
Yeah, I mean, by far and away, it was basketball followed by football. I mean, we would play till, it was dark in the night.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, somebody had did you go to a court or did somebody have a hoop in there?
Just about all of us had a hoop, around, so we could go from one kid's place to the next and pretend like we were home and away and all that other stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Yep. Well, I definitely was never a good basketball player, wasn't built for football. So me and my buddies, we played baseball. We all had a bat, we all had a glove, and we would see who could knock it out of the park the furthest. We'd just go down to the local park. So there you go. That's what Doug did, the 2 sports that I didn't do. I guess neither of us played hockey much or curling, right?
Back when I was a kid, we didn't know what hockey was.
Yeah, it was kind of a tough one to do. Get the skates out, and it's going to only be a certain time of year. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into this here. 4 things you probably didn't know about Social Security that you definitely should. The first one we're going to talk about is how is Social Security taxed?
Yeah, this is a big one everybody is surprised about and they want to know about. It's interesting the way they have put this taxation together because it's in a couple different tranches, if you will. Let's talk about single first, then married. But Social Security is taxed. Could be a zero taxation on your Social Security. Could be half of your Social Security gets taxed and 85% of your Social Security gets taxed. It just depends upon where your provisional income falls.
And that's something that a lot of people out there say, wait, I've never heard of provisional income. What is that? What is provisional income, Doug? It's only relevant to Social Security and Medicare.
Yep. It's pretty much everything and then a few things you never thought about.
Yeah.
It's certainly any income. If you have earned income, it's certainly that. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, it is that. If you have part-time income, if you have income from distributions from IRAs, 401ks, 403bs.
It's almost easier to talk about the things that are not counted toward your provisional account.
Yeah.
Let's start off with everything. Everything is part of your provisional income.
Just about everything.
Except Roth distributions. Yeah. That does not count. If you have any type of income from a reverse mortgage, that does not count. And if you have any income from a
life insurance policy.
Yeah, like
Cash
if
value.
you're taking cash out of your life insurance policy, everything else, even muni bond income,
Yes. Even that
counts towards
tax-free income is countable.
and even half of your Social Security is added into your provisional income to see if Social Security is taxed. That's what's odd about that.
So if you're married, you file jointly. If your provisional income is up to $32,000, then you don't have any taxation on your Social Security.
Great, power to you. Right?
If it's over $32,000, then half of your Social Security gets taxed at your tax rate, whatever it may be. And then if you're over $44,000, then 85% of your Social Security is taxed. And Brice, sadly, as we've said so many times on this show before, these income thresholds have never been inflation adjusted.
Since 1980 when they started taxing
back to the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the married filing jointly, if your provisional income falls between $32,000 and $44,000, 50% of your Social Security is going to be taxed. If you're below the $32,000, zero of it is taxed. And if you're above $44,000, 85% of it is taxed. Same concept for single individual tax filers, except that range is $25,000 to $34,000. If you're in that sweet spot, 50% of your Social Security is taxed. If you're over $34,000, 85% of it is taxed. And if you're below 25, 0% of it is taxed. But here's the thing that you got to understand. This is why we call it the tax torpedo. If you're over that by $1, it's not like a phase-in, like your tax brackets are. If you're over by $1, $25,000 and $1, now all of a sudden 50% of your Social Security is taxed when zero of it was $1 beforehand. So that's what you got to understand.
Boom.
Yeah, tax torpedo. It's a term we don't like. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about that, and then the other three things that we want to understand when it comes to filing for Social Security. We do got to jump away from a break here, and here is our trivia question. Now, Doug's going to know this, but this is a trivia question for everybody else out there. Ida Mae Fuller was the first person to receive Social Security. And this was back, I don't have the year in front of me, but it was back in about 1925, something like that.
No, it was later now.
Was it?
Yeah, it was in the 30s.
Okay, early, mid-30s. She was the first recipient, first person to file and receive Social Security because it had just launched not too far before that. What do you think her monthly benefit was? All right, her monthly check, what do you think it was? We're going to come back with the answer to that trivia question and talk more about Social Security and remind you that you need to sign up for this seminar that we're doing if you want to understand everything that you need to understand about Social Security. So stick around on the other side of this quick break. This is Newstalk 94.5 WBTI. This is 96.7 FM WTOB. Newstalk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardian Show, where we help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne in the Wealth Guardian studio this morning, along with Doug Ray. And in the second segment, we're going to continue our discussion on 4 things you probably don't know about Social Security that you definitely should. Now, before we answer the trivia question that we left you hanging with at the end of our last segment, let me ask you this. Are you planning to retire? Okay. Well, have you yet met with a retirement income certified professional who's also a fiduciary? If you haven't, then I want to invite you to take us up on a complimentary review of your current situation. As a certified retirement planning set of specialists here at the Wealth Guardians, we're going to put together a customized written plan with strategies for portfolio allocation, income distribution, Social Security filing, and tax efficiency, with the additional benefit of often reducing both the risk and fees of your current plan. So if you've put aside at least $400,000 and you want to take us up on this no-cost, no-obligation review, give us a call at 336-391-3409 or go to thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com to learn more. Let us show you in black and white how to retire the job and keep the paycheck. Okay, let's go ahead and go to that trivia question. So Doug, are you ready?
I guess.
Yeah, for this one, you should be ready. So Ida Mae Fuller was the first recipient of Social Security back in the early 1930s. She was the first person to file and started receiving that paycheck ahead of everybody else. The question is, what was her monthly Social Security check? Now, you might not have the exact number memorized, Doug, but you'll get close. Question to everybody else out there, let's see if you can even get close to what you think her monthly Social Security benefit check was. Go ahead, Doug. Take a stab at it.
As many times as I've told this story, I ought to know off the top of my head,
right.
but honestly, I don't. But here's the thing. We're going to tell you what she got. But the thing that I think is interesting, the cute thing about Miss Ida May, she lived a long life. And how much she took out of the system versus what she put into the system is a mind-boggling return on investment, which any of us would slobber to have.
No, it's right here in front of me. Yep.
So if you want to know the answer to that, you're going to have to come to our workshop.
Oh, you're not going to let me tell that cool fact here?
I'll let you tell how much her paycheck was, but not that cool little piece.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I'm going to guess it was something in the $18, $20 range.
There you go. Okay, so her initial monthly check was $22.54. I'm not gonna tell you what her total accumulated benefits is, because that's kind of mind blowing. But here's the other interesting fact: for the 3 years that she was taxed before she filed for Social Security, her total tax that she paid into Social Security was $24.75. So she got essentially 100% return, or just shy of 100% return, with the very first check. But she lived for a while on those Social Security benefits, and that probably had the Social Security program going, oh, holy cow, it's not supposed to work like this. And so if you want to know what that full number was that she got, okay, well, we'll give you that answer when you come to our Social Security seminar, which, again, we're going to give you this date and these times here again before we leave the show, but it's Thursday, November 6th. And Tuesday, November 11th at 6:30 p.m. We do the seminar a couple times a year. This time around, we've got Hamilton Morales, the walking guru, encyclopedia master of Social Security. He's coming up to give us all the fun facts about Social Security. It is not a boring seminar. I know you might think, gosh, I don't want to go and sit for an hour and listen to somebody talking about Social Security. No, I guarantee you that you would find this, if I can't use the word entertaining, enjoyable. An enjoyable evening listening to numbers, and a lot of helpful information we'll give you. So if you are getting ready to file for Social Security, or you want to make sure that you understand everything that you need to understand about Social Security, this would be the seminar that you want to go to. So again, Thursday, November 6th at 6:30 p.m. or Tuesday, November 11th at 6:30 p.m. It's coming up. And go ahead and give us a call, 336-391-3409 to register. That's 336-391-3409. Lynn's going to pick up the phone and she'll get you registered. If you don't want to talk to Lynn for some reason, I don't understand why. She's very nice. But you can go ahead and just go to our website, thewealthguardians.com, and click on the events tab, and you can register that way. Again, no cost or obligation, but you do have to register because seating is limited. And we'll give you those dates and that phone number again here in a few minutes. Now, we got through one of them, or almost got through the first one. We got 3 others to get to, 4 things that you probably don't know about Social Security that you definitely should. One of the other things that we want to talk about when Social Security is taxed is the potential of converting your IRAs, your IRA money, or at least some of it, before you get to RMD age. Why would that be important, Doug?
Well, once you get to RMD age, you're having to take out a certain amount of income, and that taxation on that required minimum distribution over time really adds up. Converting your IRA to a Roth prior to that, essentially what you're doing is you're paying that tax up front. And over a period of time, especially if you're thinking about compounding that tax-free income, now that you convert it to a Roth, the difference is huge.
It really is staggering. The reason you would want to consider doing this before you hit your required minimum distribution age is because, as we were talking about in the first segment, that tax torpedo of Social Security. Your Social Security is either going to be taxed at 0%, 50%, and 85%. And if you're forced to take out large required minimum distributions at age 73 because you've got so much sitting in your IRAs, well, then you're most definitely going to have 85% of your Social Security taxed. So if you can convert a lot of it over to Roth monies before you file for Social Security, well, yeah, that's a taxable event, but it was going to be a taxable event anyway. And then if you do that, then you might have a chance at staying where only 50% of your Social Security is taxed when you're filing for Social Security. So it's something that you need to consider. There is a lot of math that goes into this, and you probably don't want to try to do that math on your own. That's why you'd have a holistic financial planner like we are at the Wealth Guardians, who's got these great software programs, and we can help figure out, does it make sense for you to do any IRA to Roth conversions? If so, what years would you do it? Is it you're going to draw it out over a 10-year period? You're going to do it just in a couple of years? And how much of your IRAs are you going to convert? You certainly don't want to convert all of it. That's a whole other discussion because you're throwing good money after bad if you convert all of your IRAs over. But there's a sweet spot in there, and we'll help you figure that out. So that's something else that you want. If you don't want 85% of your Social Security to be taxed, you need to consider converting some of your IRA money to Roth money before you hit your required minimum distributions or before you file for Social Security. Okay, the next, number 2, we're finally on to number 2 now. Social Security will not go broke. A lot of people, Doug, file for Social Security based on fear. So many people that come into this say, well, Brice, I appreciate you telling me how you think I should file for Social Security, but I'm going to file at 62 because I just want to get my money before Social Security gets broke.
Yeah, you know,
a misnomer.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear a lot of this stuff going on out there. So I call it fear porn.
Okay.
I mean, they just try to scare you to death, telling you you're not going to get your benefits or your benefits are going to get cut in half or worse. You know, Social Security, at least I believe in my mind, is going to get fixed one way or the other. There's a couple ways to do it. Personally, I would love to see it privatized. You know, right now they invest the money in treasury bonds.
Right.
You know, 10-year treasury right now is hovering around 4%. That's barely beating the 100-year average of inflation.
Right.
And it's been as low as well. You folks know 4 or 5 years ago, it hit almost 0%. If they had put it in the market, the stock market I'm talking about, and just in blue chip dividend stocks, we wouldn't have a problem right now. Or not even all of it, just some of it. Just some of it.
Yeah.
You know, Charles Payne, I watch him a lot on Fox Business. And he says, and I totally believe this, the stock market's been the greatest wealth creator ever invented, and it truly has. But there's other things they can do with Social Security. And I think I will say this. If the Trump administration, once they get past the midterm elections, if they keep the House and the Senate, which is no gimme, by the way, I think they will turn their attentions on fixing Social Security. Maybe they put privatization in it. Maybe they do something completely different. But I think over time, it's going to get fixed.
Right.
One way or the other.
They're going to have to do something, which we'll just jump right to number 4 here then, Doug. We'll come back to number 3. But number 4, the future potential changes to Social Security. So the trust fund is apparently going to run out of money around 2034. And at that point, they will only have enough income coming from Social Security to meet about 75, 80% of what they're supposed to pay out. So sometime before then, they're going to have to make some changes to make it more financially sound. Well, what are these potential changes? You and I are in the field. We're certified with the National Social Security Association. We are aware of what those potential changes are, but let's talk about some of these, Doug. Raising the taxable income limit.
Well, sure. Right now, once you get over $176,100 on your payroll tax, they stop deducting for Social Security. Now, they continue with Medicare,
right,
but not for Social Security. So they could basically raise that or make it unlimited.
Unlimited,
and
right.
You still would be paying into the system. The high income earners would anyway. I think that would go a long way to fixing the problem. Won't fix it 100%, but it'd go a long way. Of course, the other another option they could apply it at the same time would be raising the retirement age. Right now, for most of you listening, it's 67.
Right.
They could go to 70.
And they've raised it a couple of times in the past. It didn't always used to be. It used to be 66, and before that it was 65. So they will likely raise that. Right. That's definitely one. They could lower the delayed filing credit. Right now it's 8% every year. From age 67, your full retirement age, up to age 70, they basically raise it 8% a year. They could lower that. There's nothing saying that they won't lower that to 6% or 5%. And there's a couple of other needs-based testing. If your total income is over a certain amount in retirement, then you don't get, you just won't get your Social Security benefits. So there's a lot of things going on like that they could talk about. There's some other things, of course, as always, Doug, we don't get to all the things that we need to talk about here. So we're going to go over the rest of these. But here it is again, Thursday, November 6th. And Tuesday, November 11th at 6:30 p.m., if you want to hear Hamilton Morales talk about Social Security and give you the facts that you need to know before you file for Social Security or even before you retire, then give us a call, 336-391-3409, or go to our website, thewealthguardians.com, click on the events tab, no cost or obligation, and come sit down and listen to the things that you need to know about Social Security. We promise we'll make it enjoyable for you. But what isn't enjoyable is the fact that we've got to go. We've run out of time again here, but I do want to thank you for joining us. This is Brice Payne along with Doug Ray. The show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is Newstalk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.
Hi, it's Garrett Ray with The Wealth Guardians. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to check out our weekly series, The Vault, on YouTube. Find our channel, The Wealth Guardians, where we talk about all things retirement planning and cover new topics each week, such as Social Security, tax planning in retirement, and our thoughts on investment best practices, and much more. New episodes air Thursdays at 2 p.m. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when we release new episodes. We're here to help you retire the job and keep that paycheck. We'll talk soon.